Welcome on over to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. I'm your host, Matt Tardio, and today's episode is being brought to you by Kalshi. Yesterday, John Kirby did in fact confirm that North Korea has sent 3,000 troops into Russia for training. Check this out.
We assess that between early to mid-October, North Korea moved at least 3,000 soldiers into eastern Russia. We assess that these soldiers traveled by ship from the Wonsan area in North Korea to Vladivostok, Russia. These soldiers then traveled onward to multiple Russian military training sites in eastern Russia, where they are currently undergoing training. We do not yet know whether these soldiers will enter into combat alongside the Russian military, but this is certainly a highly concerning probability. After completing training, these soldiers could travel to western Russia and then engage in combat against the Ukrainian military. We have briefed the Ukrainian government on our understanding of this situation, and we're certainly consulting closely with other allies, partners, and countries in the region on the implications of such a dramatic move and on how we might respond. I expect to have more to share on all of that in the coming days. For the time being, we will continue to monitor this situation closely.
You know, and that statement within itself wouldn't be nearly as troubling, except for we ended up hearing this today. Check this one out. Now, this letter that you're looking at is from the U.S. House Intelligence Committee Chair, Michael R. Turner, and he addressed it to Joe Biden. And here's what he says inside of it. He says, "Dear President Biden, according to news reports at the North Atlantic Treaty Organization headquarters yesterday, Vladimir Zelensky warned we know about 10,000 soldiers of North Korea are preparing to start fighting against us. This is a really urgent thing. I spoke about it with the United States. I spoke about it with all the leaders. Public reports from the Ukrainian and South Korean intelligence agencies detail possible movement of North Korean troops on Russian naval vessels this month. The administration has not briefed House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence or the Armed Services Committee or any assessments by U.S. intelligence agencies or the Department of Defense regarding these troop movements." Holy crap. How has that not happened yet? North Korean troops either attacking Ukraine from Russian territory or entering into Ukrainian territory must be a red line for the United States and NATO. Your administration must make that absolutely clear and unequivocal. Due to the urgency of this matter, I call for an immediate classified briefing of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence concerning the possible engagement of North Korean troops in potentially escalating and broadening Ukrainian conflict. Wow. That within itself is troubling that the House Select Committee never got briefed on it. But you want to know something a little bit more troubling? That same gentleman that drafted that letter to Joe Biden, not in like a press briefing, not in anything else. I mean, just in an open public statement today over on Twitter, he said this. He said, "Now that Secretary Austin has finally acknowledged that North Korean troops are in Russia preparing to enter the conflict with Ukraine, the Biden-Harris administration must make clear that North Korean troops entering this conflict are a red line for the United States. I have long challenged the Biden-Harris admin unwise position on restricting Ukraine's use of U.S. weapons against targets within Russian territory. If North Korean troops attack Ukraine from Russian territory, Ukraine should be permitted to use American weapons to respond. If North Korean troops were to invade Ukraine's sovereign territory, the United States needs to seriously consider taking direct military action against the North Korean troops." What the hell? We're going to call for direct action against North Korean troops openly on Twitter with nothing else? Like, you haven't even been briefed, bro. Holy cow. Like, I can't believe he legitimately made that statement. Like, has he actually, is he aware of what Putin has said in the past and what basically he just called for, which is going to be the start of World War III? Look at this.
Видим и слышим, как на очень высоком уровне Великобритании и США муссируется тема о том, что киевский режим сможет наносить удар в территорию России западными вооружениями большой дальности. И, судя по всему, это решение либо вот-вот будет принято, либо, судя по всему, вообще уже принято. И эта вещь, конечно, экстраординарная. Хотелось попросить прокомментировать то, что происходит.
происходит попытка подмены понятий, потому что речь не идет о разрешении или запрете киевскому режиму наносить удары по российской территории. Он и так наносит с помощью беспилотных летательных аппаратов и другими средствами. Но когда речь идет об использовании высокоточного оружия большой дальности западного производства, это совершенно другая история. Дело в том, что я уже об этом говорил, и любые эксперты это подтвердят, и у нас, и на Западе, наносить удары современными высокоточными системами большой дальности западного производства украинская армия не в состоянии. Она не может этого делать. Это возможно только с использованием разведданных со спутников, которыми Украина не располагает. Это данные только со спутников Евросоюза, либо на Соединенных Штатах, в общем, с натовских спутников. Это первое. Второе, и очень важное, может быть, ключевое, заключается в том, что полетные задания в эти ракетные системы могут, по сути, вносить только военнослужащие стран НАТО. Украинские военнослужащие делать это не могут. И поэтому речь идет не о том, чтобы разрешать украинскому режиму наносить удары по России этим оружием или не разрешать. Речь идет о том, чтобы принять решение о том, что страны НАТО напрямую участвуют в военном конфликте или нет. Если это решение будет принято, это будет означать не что иное, как прямое участие стран НАТО, Соединенных Штатов, европейских стран в войне на Украине. Это их прямое участие. И это уже, конечно, существенным образом меняет саму суть, саму природу конфликта. Это будет означать, что страны НАТО, США, европейские страны воюют с Россией. А если это так, то, имея в виду изменение самой сути этого конфликта, мы будем принимать соответствующие решения, исходя из тех угроз, которые нам будут создавать.
I know that's a longer clip, but I gotta play the whole thing so you get it in context. Now, that's what Putin said. Like, if we were just inputting data or providing intelligence that we're already at war with Russia and that they will take appropriate actions. But we're talking like satellites and like that, right? And data inputs, random stuff. This guy just called for the United States to directly attack North Korean and Russian troops, because you better believe they're going to be operating side by side with each other. Holy crap. So if Putin thinks that us doing that via proxy is a direct participation in the war, what do you think he's going to think the U.S. directly striking them is? You are literally calling for us to go to war with Russia. I am super excited to tell you guys about a new app that's called Kalshi. It's also available on desktop, and that's what you're looking at it at currently. Now, this is the first time in 100 years where you can legally trade on the elections in all 50 states, and you do it right here on this website or through their mobile app at Kalshi. Now, check this out. I want to explain to you guys how this works. It's pretty simple, actually. So right now we're looking at who will win the presidential election. And as you can see up there on your screen, Donald Trump right now, they're saying has a higher percentage. And why are they saying that? Because more people believe in that and they're putting their money where their mouth is. Now, I showed this the other day. Let's say you want to bet yes that Donald Trump is going to win the election. You click on yes. You end up putting the dollar amount down that you want. We're putting 100 down. All right. And saying that, yep, Donald's going to win. And it's coming in right now at about 59-ish cents per contract. That's going to end up getting me 169 contracts. I hope you're keeping up here. Now, if Donald Trump wins, I end up getting $169 back. That'd be a profit of $69.29. Now, if he loses, I get nothing. So why does it actually come out to be $69.29? It's really interesting. Basically, if you were to take 41 cents, multiply it by 169, it's going to come out directly to be 69.29. Now, this is really cool that you can actually do this. And there's also several other things that you can vote on, not just like there at the national level, but also in multiple states, right? So here's what's cool. Kalashi has already facilitated over 1 billion in trades, and the election markets are now live to trade. You can sign up using my link, kalshi.com/Rob, and the first 500 traders who deposit $50 will get a free $20 credit. Come on, get over there. And you better believe those North Koreans are on their way over to Ukraine in order to fight as soon as they get done with training. Now, we reported on this not that long ago. It was like a couple of weeks ago. We talked about this. North Korean officers were killed inside of Ukraine. And it wasn't just this Chinese merc that ended up saying it. There was like actual reports on this crap coming out. And allegedly, they were up over on the front line in the DPR and LPR, the DPR, getting training from the Russians. Now, why would they be doing that? North Korea hasn't gone to war with anybody ever. I think this is like the first time that they're like deploying anywhere, have been outside their own freaking border. They need to know how to fight alongside the Russians. That's why they would be there, so that they can coordinate and that they could attack and they can defend together and see how everything's going. And you send your officers up there to get that information. It's called a pre-deployment site survey. We do them in the United States military. They're just doing it. They're jacked up North Korean way with Russians. That way they could figure out what's going on the ground, train their troops appropriately, prep them to get them to come in. They're going. Common sense. Oh, by the way, on top of all that crap, Russia has ratified its military pact with North Korea. Earlier this year, they had signed a security agreement with North Korea, which essentially said an attack on one is attack on both of us. So if you attack North Korea, Russia will defend. If you attack Russia, North Korea will defend. Imagine that. Ukraine went into Russia, and now North Korean troops are inside Russia. And the U.S. says that we are going to start, like, we're calling for this crap, our elected officials. And we're not doing it in like, I don't know, like an active hearing or anything like that. We're putting that rhetoric and information out online. So now Putin is going to have it and start justifying more of his actions. Now, for those of you that don't know, Putin's also wound up over in the Middle East as well. That's right, Russian troops, they've got problems. We've got photographs of them working with Hezbollah all the way back in 2015 over inside of Syria. And if this is the first time you're hearing about seeing these images and these videos, that's what's taking place in this. It's 2015 in Syria. That's a Russian Spetsnaz soldier wearing a freaking Hezbollah patch. Soak that one up. And then it makes you wonder why not that long ago, like what, 2 weeks? There was a freaking airstrike that Israel conducted over inside of northern Syria, either inside or directly outside a Russian military base. I don't know, a little bit unclear, but what was being said about this strike is that these were munitions that got flown in by Iran to this Russian military site for the purpose of Hezbollah using them, and Israel ended up conducting an airstrike to blow up the munitions before they could get into Hezbollah's hands. And Russian stockpiles of weapons have been found inside of southern Lebanon. Check that crap out. I know I went over that on this morning's live broadcast, but that's got straight up tracking from Russia going into Syria. Validity of it, TBD. However, this was actually right up over along the Israeli-Lebanese border, supposedly to get used by the Radwan forces. And we've talked with people on this channel about Russia being directly involved in that as well. So, I mean, what the hell? Not only do we have them being involved up over there inside of Lebanon, we know Russia has definitely invaded Ukraine, and the U.S. wants to call for war with them. At least one elected official does. That's not going to lead to anything good, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I can't express that enough. Like, that is guaranteed. If we do this, mark my words, we will have boots on the ground inside of Ukraine. And all this crap is taking place right now because we have failed to supply Ukraine with everything that they need. It's not a joke. In order for Ukraine to actually advance and take Russian territory and hold it, Russian occupied territory in Ukraine and hold it, they need a comprehensive spending bill from the United States government giving them the funding to do so. Because last fall, that wasn't in place. We had temporary funding, limited funding passed for Ukraine. They ended up making it pretty deep in their counteroffensive until the money ran dry. At which point Ukraine was SOL for several months while politicians sat on their thumbs and attaching the border bill and all this other crap to Ukrainian and Israel funding. Meanwhile, Ukrainian soldiers are dying while they're fighting off Russian soldiers after they invaded their country. But tell me again how much the Biden-Harris administration actually supports Ukraine. I've seen them standing inside Congress complaining about abortion, seeing them complaining about healthcare, seeing them pushing for, I don't know, an assault weapons ban maybe, or let's go with common sense gun control. That's not too hard for them to call for legislation for. But actual funding that Ukraine needs to fight off Russia and now North Korea, nah, screw it. We'll just bomb the crap out of them and drag us into frickin' World War III that's going to continue to feed the military-industrial complex. Good plan. My brain hurts. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for another episode. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Peace, love, happiness, and God bless. I'm out of here.